Hey there, More here, and thank you for joining me on my channel today. Today, we're going to get into a champion guide and spotlight on Veteran. He's a Void Affinity Orc champion that just might be able to help progress your account through some content. I'm going to try to use mine in Faction Wars, but not today. We're going to take him to Ice Golem. So let's go check him out and see what he is actually all about. So Veteran, can he actually help progress your account or not? I'm not entirely too sure. Let's jump into his kit, find out what he's got. We're going to take him to Ice Golem 13 to see some gameplay and mechanics of just what he's actually doing. And then we'll actually see his build. Look at his stats and see just if he can actually help you or not. Let's figure it out. His A1 attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 35% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Damage proportional to defense. Not a bad skill. I like this skill when it comes down to it. It's a 2-hit A1. Book it up to a 50% chance to land a decrease attack debuff. That's a very helpful debuff to be able to place on the champions and the enemies. It is only a single target skill. I got it, but it's on his A1. 50% chance when booked out. That's a really good possibility. His A2 attacks one enemy, places a 30% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 3 turns if the target is killed. Damage proportional to defense. Okay, I got you. Unless there's some nice multipliers once you book it up, because you book it up, that's 15, 30, an extra 40% damage when you actually book it out. Damage is based off of defense and attack. Defense primarily, that's its priority. Damage scaler. But the buff that comes with it, that's conditional on killing a champion, is just inconsistent. You have to kill a champion for this to happen, right? So if you're one-shotting somebody, then it can actually be beneficial in a way. But usually, most of your champions are going to be built with 100% crit rate or close to it already, unless you don't care about their crit rate. So you don't care if they do damage. So to me, I don't really like this buff. The increased crit rate buff is kind of a useless buff to me. So to have it conditionally done when he kills a champion, it just seems like a waste of a skill to me. But that's just my opinion. If you think otherwise, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to appreciate and hear what you think about this skill and if you use it at all. His A3, though, attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 1 turn. Damage increases according to this champion's max HP. This one's got some potentiality to it, some potential right there, right? So damage scales off of defense first and then HP second. So if you build him beefy, this skill can actually do pretty good. It's an AoE skill too, so in some capacity, you might be able to turn it into a bit of a nuking capability, nuking skill, right? Book it out, it's on a 3-turn cooldown, and you increase your chance to land those debuffs by an extra 10%. So you have a 60% chance to land the block buffs debuff. In the dungeons, the block buffs debuffs, it's not too bad. Some of the champions have some mechanics that do some nice buffs in there. In Ice Golems, the Terror Beasts that do the reflect damage, you could potentially block that reflect damage with this block buffs debuff, right? So, possibility there. And if you want to take him into the arena, you can potentially put that on everybody on the arena if he goes first. But we'll see when we get to the stats. He is kind of hard to actually build out and stack out. His aura increases ally speed in the dungeons by 15%. Not too bad of an aura, especially coming from a rare. A speed aura from a rare is pretty nice, especially if it's in the dungeons. Dungeons is actually a really good and a reliable place where you're going to be, a consistent place where you're going to be farming, where you're going to be. So he could actually be beneficial in the dungeons for your teams. We're going to Ice Golems 13 right here. This is the team I got him with, kind of underdeveloped, right? I got 160, 150, and 340s, right? Including himself. So the team itself is not a very strong and overpowered team. It's going to take about 3 to 4 minutes for us to get through this. We will talk about this right here. We'll talk about what's going on. Taurus, he's got some interestingness to him. I want to do something with him. He seems like it'd be really, really fun. Take him out, build him up, pair him with the Zavia, and see what some poison explosions can really do, right? I'm going to do it. I want to do it. Not there yet, though. But today we're talking about Veteran, right? So, Veteran's there. He just did 1 block debuff buff 1 block buff, debuff. That's a tongue twister. On 1 champion out of 3. However, the other one had a block debuffs buff. The vice versa, the inverse. There you go. But he's out here. He's trying to do his thing. Let's see what's going on after we get past this round. We should be clear out in just a second. There we go. All right. Unfortunately, he did his AoE block buffs debuff, so we can't block the reflect damage this time. Unless he can by chance cycle through his cooldowns, which I don't think he can, because his cooldowns are not very short. It was a 4-turn cooldown for that one, right? Anyways, reflect damages are up. So we, of course, didn't see it. Couldn't pull it off. And is he going to kill himself? Nope, he's not. Outstanding. Here we go. Good. All right. He tried to do his AoE that time. He did his AoE. Neither one of the Terror Beasts got a block buffs debuff placed on him. He is down. Reliquary Tender. Clutch Revive. I mean, she's always there for the rise. That's why you have a Reliquary Tender in there, right? She's an amazing little support. Continuous heals. Revives. Strip debuffs. I like Reliquary Tender. She's growing on me. I've slept on her for too long, but she is growing on me. All right. Now we're the boss. Minute 50, like I said, it's going to be on the slower side, right? This team is underdeveloped. This is stage 13. This is not stage 10 or lower, right? So we're in the top half of the Ice Golem. So Ice Golem starts to get a little bit on the tougher side, stronger side to get through the content, to get through the dungeon. That's why it's taking us so long right now. But we're getting there. That wasn't bad. Veteran just critted for 11,500 damage against that add-on. That was a better crit, the best crit I think I've ever actually seen from him. That AoE just did a 6,000 crit on both. Not too bad. He can actually put on a little bit of damage, it looks like. A little bit surprised for me. I didn't think he'd be able to do something like that. Especially with the way he's actually built. His stats aren't the most impressive stats. So being able to put out that kind of damage is impressive to me right now. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get to his build and get to his actual stats in just a minute here. It's going to take a couple more minutes. We'll get through Ice Golem here. Look at those poisons. Taurus. Get Taurus fast. Get Taurus accuracy. Get Taurus maybe a reflex set. And I wonder what he can really do with some of this stuff. Throw out some poisons. He can be a massive poisoner. You just kind of deal with that immortal or that unkillable and that 99% damage he deals himself. Oh, that's rough sometimes. Just to look at that HP disappear, right? But Veteran's low. Reliquary Tender's low. Are we going to make this? I'm pretty sure we should, right? We should be able to make this. We did last time. Oh, Reliquary Tender's down. That's not good. That's not kosher. I don't know if we're going to make this run. That's just not cool. Come on, you guys. Let's go. All right. Thank you, Marked. Defense up. Block buffs. Block debuffs buff. Good job. And there goes Veteran. We're not going to make this. Outstanding. It's okay. I'll go ahead and cycle through. I'll speed the video up so we can get to the end of this right quick. So stay tuned. Just stand by right quick. Oh my goodness. They actually pulled it off. Nuts. Okay, I think Taurus actually probably was an MVP at the end there. He did the most damage at Ed rate, 325,000, right? Craziness. Again, I'm intrigued by Taurus. I'm going to do a video on him soon. I'm going to build him out. I'm going to tweak him up. But today we're talking about Veteran. Veteran did 114,000 damage, right? Just over marked, under Apothecary. A better showing than I expected from him. But let's get into his actual build, and I can show you what I'm talking about as far as being surprised based on the stats he's actually got put out here. I've got him in a lifesteal set, and I've got him in a divine life set. I wanted some extra HP. I wanted him to be able to heal himself back, because my intent was to potentially take him to Faction Wars. And I wanted him to be able to actually heal himself back in Faction Wars, instead of having to rely on an actual dedicated healer in that actual Faction Wars. I don't think I have a dedicated orc for healing. But his actual stats here, let's look at this. they're not very impressive. 14,000 HP, 650 attack. He does have one skill that scales off attack, right? His defense is 1,700 defense. With that much defense, I'm surprised he's actually taking as hard a hits as it was in the Ice Golems. Speed is only 115. He is slow. Crit rate and crit damage happen to both be 61%. That was not intentional. His resistance 48 and his accuracy is 150. So, if you are going to build veteran for your account, you definitely do need to put a lot of focus on the defense and the accuracy for sure. Defense, because one, he needs to be able to take a hit, and two, when he hits back, everything is based off of defense at some point in some capacity, right? All his damage output is defense. Two of them either one has an attack or one has an HP. And then his A1 is straight defense. So you need defense to be able to do some damage if you want any damage out of him. And then secondly, that defense helps him be able to take a hit. Obviously, though, you need some HP as well. More than just 14,000. Probably at least, you probably want to go a good 10% ratio. So for every 10, your defense needs to be 10% of your HP. So for every 20,000 HP, you look at 2,000 defense. It's probably a good ratio to try to match up and pair up and keep going. This little below that may even not be enough. You may still even need more HP. For some reason, even with this much defense, he is taking a hard hit. I don't understand why. You do need that accuracy, however, so you can land that block buffs debuff, and then so you can land that decrease attack debuff as well. So that's what I got mine in. Obviously, it's not working entirely too good because he went down twice in that run. That was only Ice Golems 13. Not the hardest Ice Golem out there, right? So Masteries. What should you do for Masteries? Again, I always say this question, and I always ask this when it comes down to it. It really depends, and you need to ask yourself, what do you want to use this veteran for? If you're going to build veteran, what content do you want to take him into? That is going to determine what kind of Masteries you actually build for him, right? So, if I want to take my veteran to Faction Wars, it means I'm taking him to a dungeon-style content, and I want him to be able to do some kind of damage and sustain for himself. He's also a decreased attack debuffer as well. So, I would actually take him into support side so I can focus on the accuracy and the increased chance of landing my debuffs, right? So I can land the block buffs debuff, and so I can land the decreased attack as well, a little more efficiently and effectively. And on top of that, I actually would want to go down offensive tree, probably down to Helm Smasher for that chance to ignore defense rather than the crit damage. So I would actually try to build and scale my damage output primarily out of the offensive tree rather than out of his stats so much. I want to build defense on him so he can actually take a hit. Will have some crit rate on him, so a chance to do some damage, but I want the damage to be scaling off of my offensive tree. Increased damage when his HP is low, increased damage when I'm attacking somebody with more HP, increased damage by reducing or ignoring defense, right? So that's what I would want to do for him. And that's what, if you're going to take yours at Faction Wars, I would suggest you do the same thing, offense and support. If you're going to say arena, then possibly you may want to consider actually defense rather than offense. Get some counterattacks in there, land more debuffs, get the support over there to land those debuffs more efficiently. But really, when it comes down to it, it's up to you.